Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Hope you're having a nice Sunday and all that. Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko, they were supposed to be in negotiations. I think they were in negotiations for a fight. They both hold belts in the lightweight division. Lomachenko recently stopped George Kambosos for the vacant IBF belt. And he's always said, I want to be undisputed. I can't retire till I'm undisputed. But now it's a bit different. Get the old magic tablet out here. I'll give you a little update if you're not aware. Igor Klimas, who is Lomachenko's manager, says Loma's not in the mood right now. He doesn't have the motivation at the moment. He's taking time off. He wants to spend more time with his family. He doesn't want to do anything until the end of the year. So he's definitely not coming to the ring until the end of the year. Regarding the fact Lomachenko is walking away from a mega money fight, Klimas added, with Loma, just money is not what motivates him. He doesn't take anything just because of money. He's got enough anyway, I imagine. You can offer him millions, tens of millions of dollars. If he doesn't have motivation, he's not ready to prepare for the fight. Okay, now there's a certain irony here because it wasn't so long ago that Davis was avoiding Lomachenko, at least a few years ago. Now that Lomachenko's older, probably, not rough around the edges, but probably on the downside of his career, coming down the hill. Suddenly, Davis, who's probably in his prime, wants to get in the ring with him. Is this an avoidance or a duck, as the word everyone uses? Yeah, probably. You could argue that. Definitely argue that. He hasn't ruled it out forever, just like Davis didn't rule it out forever. Several years ago. But the fact of the matter is this: Lomachenko has a belt, the IBF belt. If you've got a belt, you have to abide by the rules of the ruling body. And if there's one thing that drives me balmy, not just with the IBF, but with all of them, it's this, when a champion sits on a belt, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't like to see fighters stripped of belts because A, they've earned them, and B, you want to see them fight someone. And if they're going to lose them in the ring. I don't think fighters like fighting for vacant belts. But if some guy like, for example, Charlo, who sat on the middleweight, WBC middleweight belt for a couple of years without fighting, making any defences, I mean, that's just not fair on contenders. And if you're a champion, you've got to fight, you've got to defend the belt. There's no get-out clause. If you're holding a belt by a particular ruling body, you have to abide by their rules, unless the ruling body, like with the WBC, has its favourites and cuts some slack, like it did with Fury and Charlo and so on. So I don't think this is, it's certainly not a good news move, is it? Because we wanted to see that fight. This does open the door for Shakur Stevenson to come in and fight Tank. I find Stevenson dull to watch. He's very technical. He's the sort of fighter I respect, but in terms of entertainment, I get very little entertainment out of watching Shakur Stevenson. I find him very, very boring to watch. But if you put a boring guy in with a guy who is exciting, a guy who's going to make him fight, a guy who's going to make him be at his optimum powers, we all have a ceiling, of course, and sometimes when we fight, if you were to fight a lesser fighter, you might not have to hit your ceiling. You might be able to get away with being sort of mid-level. That's certainly not going to be the case if Stevenson fights Davis. Davis, I imagine, would bring the best out of Shakur, make him really fight, make him be on point. And so those skills that he's undoubtedly got, Stevenson, he'll have to mix that in with a couple of other qualities that, namely fighting as well as boxing, and maybe taking a shot, maybe soaking up pressure. He'll have to think his way through that fight. Is Davis versus Tank a better fight than Davis versus Lomachenko? It might well be, because, like I say, I think Lomachenko is, when I say past his best, I don't mean he's shot at all. That's not what I'm getting at. But he's still very, very good. but two fighters in their prime, or let's say Davis is in his prime and Stevenson is getting close to it, I think that might be a more interesting fight, probably a more exciting fight as well. But yeah, that's the news. Loma is taking some time out. What do you think? Do you think it's a blatant avoidance? I suppose it is when all is said and done. What about the issue that he's got the belt? Should he give up the belt, do you think? Yeah, just let me know what you think, and I'll have a read of your comments. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, by the way. I always appreciate your time, and if you could subscribe if you're new, that would be great. Spread the word about Joe's Son of Boxing, and hit the like button as well, if you don't mind, because they count those likes. Algorithms and all that stuff, apparently. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and bye for now.